I found out about Michelle on Twitter through somebody I follow who I really adore and respect their music tastes. And I quickly listened to Psychopomp and Soft Sounds from Another Planet, her first two albums. And I quickly ordered Jubilee, her third and latest studio album. And I'm not here to talk about music, but I have to bring this up later. Anyway, when I found out that she was basically accompanying this third album, Jubilee, with a book called Crying in Mart, I was very interested, especially because this is a nonfiction and I was getting into nonfiction recently. I thought this book was going to be about her being Korean, growing up in an Oregon small town filled with just these white kids who judge anybody who does not look like them. But I quickly found out within the first few pages that this is not entirely that story. This is a story about grief, about death, about cancer, about coping, about culture, about cooking. This book is loaded with a lot of themes and ideas just for like 239 pages. This book hit me in a lot of ways. And I learned a lot about her. And just thinking about it, like, I don't know if you could tell, but I'm getting like goosebumps. I lost my mother when I was 12. So a little bit too early to entirely relate to what Michelle mentions in this book, but she mentions growing up Korean in a small Oregon town, wanting to be like everyone else, sometimes denouncing her Korean heritage, her Korean mother, denouncing the way her mother raised her, a very like strict and very structured childhood, very like clean and safe. In her teenage years, she became a rebel, like many teenagers do, in a small town. And you see that their relationship became fractured, and she tries to, as she gets older, appreciate her mother. You see that as her mother gets diagnosed with a cancerous tumor, that Michelle is trying to make amends with her mother, trying to indulge in her Korean culture, indulge in her Korean side, and share dishes and stories and laugh. And it quickly gets into this very, very sad, dark, very realistic, about 100 page story about this family trying everything they can do to bring her mother through to the other side, to heal from her cancer. And I'll be honest with you, I was reading this on a plane, and there were some times I got really choked up. And there was one line in particular where my eyes started watering and tingling. I don't really cry from many songs or movies, but this one really almost got me. I almost had tears dripping down my face. It just hits hard. She also describes how when unfortunately her mother does pass, she tries to communicate with her Korean family members. She doesn't speak Korean, so it's very hard for her when she does not have a translator to bond with these people with whom she is blood, but she doesn't have a way of even talking to them, which I'm half Puerto Rican. I get that from my mother's side. So whenever I visit my abuela, my mother's mother, I can't speak to her. Like, I can't have a fluid, nice conversation with my own grandmother, which does really upset me and make me sad. And I know I could try my hardest to learn Spanish, but it's very, very hard being in this age. And I'm sure she feels the same way. Like, she knows some words, but to learn Korean at her age, when she lost her mother, like 25, 26, like, it's just very hard. So when she was describing, loss of a mother, feeling this weird connection / disconnection from your own family members and from your own culture, that hit me so hard, especially in my old neighborhood back in New York. I would stay inside a lot, so like I didn't really have this like kind of like glow to my skin. Now that I live in Florida, I used to be very pale, and a lot of people would just say that I'm Italian, I'm white, and that's it. And being a dumb teenager, I didn't really care, much like Michelle didn't really care about her Korean heritage. But as I get older, it kind of pissed me off because that's not who I am. Like, I am Puerto Rican, and I do have that in my blood, in my veins, in my culture, in the food that I enjoy. This book goes into very, very deep detail on just loss, on grief, on familial issues, and it's such a good read, such a sad read, such a real read that I think almost anyone can relate to or get something out of. And like, I loved her art before this book, but now I just love it even more. It makes so much more sense why her first two albums were a little bit like dreamy and dreary and a little sad. And on her latest album, Jubilee, she has like two songs that I could think of at the top of my head, Be Sweet and In Hell, that come off like very poppy, very peppy. And she even said like she wanted this album to be happier and to be more cheerful. But what's funny is she still has like those somber songs. So this album almost feels like she's trying to break out of this grief finally, make happy art. But every now and then she gets pulled back into this depression, this sadness. And after reading this, you could totally see why. And honestly, this combo right here, Jubilee and Crying in H Mart, have cemented Michelle, Japanese Breakfast, as one of my favorite current artists. I think she's a really wonderful person. I mean, obviously I don't know her, but I think she makes very wonderful art, very human art, very beautiful art. And I hope that if she has not healed yet, if healing is possible from something like this, I hope she's on her way to that or has already gotten there, because I know from my own experiences, I don't know if I'll ever be healed, but I feel like I am healing slowly but surely, and I hope she is feeling the same. This is a beautiful book. I would give this easily a 9 out of 10, and I love this so much. But do not go in expecting this in-depth background story on how she's a breakout indie music artist, because it's not about the music. It's about her as a human being. It's about culture. It's about food. It's about grief. And this book was absolutely amazing and such a good read. Thank you guys for watching.